Good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Lenny's on his way to get Andy at the airport, so you're with me this morning, and it's great to be here looking at the chat room. Everybody's with me. Beerman, Traveler, wow, JR, Matts, even Lenny's listening. Love it. Okay, we got that's my intro. Let's get into it. A lot to do today. All right, talking about the standings. We're going to talk about the games last night, too. We're going to start with the American League. And as we look at the American League this morning, we look at the New York Yankees. Yeah, let's hear it for the Yankees back in first place, even though they didn't play yesterday. Okay, but they're 41-25 and have a half-game lead over Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay lost yesterday to the Oakland A's at home, and the main culprit was a kid by the name of Laureano for Oakland.
2-2 on Laureano. Stays in the box. Right-hand batter, left-hand pitcher. The lay kick, the poche pitch. Fastball hit deep, left center field. On the run is Pham. Toward the wall. It keeps going. It's gone. A grand slam. Ramon Laureano sends it out over the yellow stripe into the blue seats. Home run number 9 for Laureano. Olsen is home. Piscotti is home. Grossman is home. And here comes Laureano with a clutch blow of the trip as he clears him off against Poche.
And Bob Melvin might hustle down from the clubhouse to give a big hug. Now, that's a great at-bat by Ramon Laureano, fouling off some tough pitches, and Poche tried to go fastball in. Second slam of the season for an Athletic.
Laureano went 2 for 4 yesterday with that grand slam. He had 5 RBIs. Oakland beats Tampa Bay 6-2. The 24-year-old Laureano, he singled home the first run of the game in the 4th inning, and then he smashed the grand slam during the 8th inning. The game was tied at the time, so big clutch hit for Laureano. Laureano now has 3 homers and 10 RBIs in his last 11 games. You know, he may be available out there on a waiver wire. It depends how deep your league is. I know nothing about your leagues, okay? But I do know about Laureano. And I really think he is a great player. You know, he had that on-base streak stop just recently. He'd been on base like 20-some straight games in some capacity. He's a great center fielder. Now, we don't care about that so much in fantasy. I get it. But he's going to play every day. And so, big win yesterday. Laureano, take a look at him. And now Tampa, again, with that win, trails the Yankees by half a game. That's going to go back and forth, though, I'm telling you. And today, the Yankees are in Chicago playing the White Sox. And Tampa Bay remains home, taking on the Anaheim Angels. How about Boston and Texas yesterday? You know, I've been telling you all week that Texas, if the season ended today, and that's still the case today, if the season ends today, Texas, they are your second wild card. They're in Fenway Park for a 4-game set. They conclude that set today. Texas wins the first 2 games of the series. And sort of dramatic, but not really. You ever heard of a walk-off walk?
Texas 4-3, sending some outstanding momentum over to the Garden for Game 7.
Well, that's not exactly true because, you know, the Bruins, how many Bruin fans have I got out there this morning? Well, congratulations to the St. Louis Blues. They finally bring the cup home to St. Louis last night. I'm not going to talk hockey this morning other than to say it's about time some other city other than Boston won a major championship, right? Okay. There's my spill. Red Sox win, dramatic fashion, walk-off walk to Mookie Betts. They beat Texas 4-3 yesterday. They're now 7.5 games behind New York in the American League East for the second wild card. And I know it's way early for that, but they're 2 games behind Texas. Big game today at Fenway Park for the Red Sox. We'll see if momentum carries over to today. You know, I think momentum's as long as your last at bat almost sometimes in Major League Baseball. But we'll check it out and see how the Red Sox and Rangers do. That's a big game today. David Price, and I'll talk about it as we close the show today, but David Price is pitching today for the Red Sox, and he has been an outstanding number 2 pitcher. Sale is finally Sale. Well, Price has been really good. His last outing, he struck out 10. Maybe he'll do it again today. He's got a few batters in that lineup that seem to career-wise feast on him. But a big game there, and so we will see. Now, Toronto played Baltimore last night, and Toronto wins the game. And we'll look at that in just a moment. But a player there I want to talk about a little about is Trey Mancini. And I've heard him mentioned in trade talks and read about potential trade talks. But yesterday, even though they lost, he came on early to help the Birds.
Center field, he got into it. Back it goes, and that ball is gone. On cue, Trey Mancini and the O's grab a 1-0 lead. Number 14 for Mancini. And the Oriole fans love him. He now has hits in 9 of his last 11 games.
And hits keep coming against the Blue Jays. How about that one? 106 miles an hour off the bat. This fastball looks like a fastball, just staying up in the middle of the plate. Mainly sitting up on the outside corner, and you get this one on the belt.
Mancini took Edwin Jackson deep in the 4th inning. That was his 14th home run of the season. He's having a great year. I was down on him a few weeks ago. He was slumping for a few weeks, but he seems to have picked it back up. But that home run in the 4th was his 2nd extra base hit of the game. He had tripled in the 1st inning against Derek Law. He has 4 home runs in his past 11 games, 7 RBIs, and 11 runs scored. His season-long line, well, now it's up to 302 with a .556 slugging percentage. He's batted 278 times. Now, the talk is Baltimore may be wanting to trade him. He'd be a great trade piece, but he's really, basically all the power they have. So we'll see. Easy Kill said, who lost in hockey? Boston lost in hockey. St. Louis won Game 7 last night at the Boston Garden. Ha ha! That was big, right? So anytime you win in Boston in a Game 7, don't you know the folks around New England today, they're hanging their heads. But great comeback for the St. Louis Blues and winning the Stanley Cup. Lord Stanley Cup hadn't been in St. Louis. It's there now. So here we go. We got folks in the chat room. Jim Ross, good morning. Leonard Donaldson, good morning. Jack Youngblood, how about those games yesterday, Oakland and Tampa, and all the autographs? I'm telling you, I'm on my phone last night, and Jack watched the Rays and the A's yesterday in that thrilling game, Laureano, but he met some great players, got some autographs. That's what it's all about, right? Blake Snell, and oh my gosh. So put on the chat room, Jack, all the different autographs you got from all those players yesterday. I thought that was just incredible. And we'll talk about where I'm going in just a few minutes for the weekend. Anyway, let's move along. The Twins, they lost to Seattle 9-6. And as we look at that box score, a lot of offense last night for the Mariners. One guy in particular, how about Vogelbach? I know he's streaky. I know he doesn't fare well off of, left-handers necessarily. But last night, looking at the box score for the Mariners, they got 13 hits off of Twins pitching. Malik Smith went 3 for 6 with 2 doubles. Okay? Vogelbach, 4 for 5. That's right, 4 for 5. He hit his 17th home run off of Berrios in the 6th inning. That was his RBI. Narvaez, 2 for 4. D. Gordon back off the IL, 2 for 5. Long, the rookie, hit his first homer last night in the 8th inning off of Parker. That bullpen. And you wonder now about the Twins and their decision not to sign a certain reliever who went to Chicago. Look at the bullpen last night, how they imploded. First of all, Berrios went 6 2/3, 7 hits, only 1 earned run, and 6 strikeouts. So an admirable game there for Barrios. But then the bullpen comes in, and starting in the 8th inning, here you go. May, a third of an inning, 1 hit, 2 earned runs. All right, Parker, no outs. He pitched in that same 8th inning, 2 hits, 2 earned runs. Okay, Eads comes in the 8th, pitches fairly well into the 9th, but then the 9th, Duffy comes in, pitches the inning, and gives up 3 runs. So, I don't know, but it looks like bullpen could be a concern for the otherwise solid as a rock Twins. They lead the division by 10.5 games over Cleveland. Cleveland lost to Cincinnati yesterday 7-2. In that game, the Reds hit 4 home runs, off of Indians pitching. Plesac, the rookie, started 5 1/3, 5 hits, 4 earned. He gave up 3 home runs yesterday. And Reds box score, well, it looks like it's lit up. Senzel hit a home run. His 5th he hit in the first inning off Plesac, led off the game with a home run. Votto hit his 6th in the first, back-to-back jacks between Votto and Senzel. That was his 6th. Casali hit a homer off the reliever Goody in the 7th inning, his 3rd of the year. And Eugenio Suarez, I can pronounce the name sometimes, hit his 15th home run in the 6th inning off of Plesac. So those were the 3 home runs. Suarez is hitting .260 on the year with those 15 home runs. As far as he has 42 RBIs. And I'm loving Senzel and what he's doing. DeSclafani pitched yesterday for Cincinnati, went 5 2/3, gave up 1 earned run, and only struck out 2. So big win there for the Reds against Cleveland. That's one of those rivalry games, right? Cleveland and Cincinnati in the state of Ohio, the great country of Ohio. The White Sox trailed by 12 games in the division, and they won at Washington last night 7-5. And Detroit, they beat Kansas City 3-2. And in that game, how about, did you ever think at the beginning of the year, as we sat here on June the 12th or June the 13th, did you ever think that the league leader in saves in the American League would be Green for Detroit? And did you ever think he'd have 20? And did you ever think he'd have an ERA of 1? 1.00. Yeah, that's right. And are the Detroit Tigers looking to deal Shane Green? And if they do, what about Jimenez? And is Jimenez someone that if he's available in leagues that you want to get? What a great picture, an autograph of Blake Snell. Thank you for that. Love it. Love it. Unholy Toledo says the Cubs traded Vogelbach because they had another one in stock. I tell you, Vogelbach is just having an all-star kind of year, right? And I'm loving it. So, Green for Detroit. Great game yesterday. Not a lot of runs scored in that game. We'll talk about the chances of that changing later today. At any rate, how about Houston last night? The Brewers playing the Astros, and they decided that they wanted to play a little longer than most teams. And before we get started with the hitting stats, this is just the year. These stats for Verlander are so typical of this season, right? With the long ball, with the ball flying out of ballparks. Verlander went 7 innings last night, only gave up 3 earned runs, but all 3 were solo shots. He struck out a career best 15, but he gave up the 3 home runs. I wonder if it had been last year with a different ball, what would have happened there? Josh Reddick led off last night for Houston. It did not fit him well. He went 0 for 6 out of the leadoff spot. In fact, Houston only had 5 hits all night in 14 innings. As a team, they were 5 for 42. Those with hits were Brantley everybody only had 1. Brantley had a hit, Gurriel had a hit, Chirinos had a hit, Kemp had a hit, and Marisnick had a hit. That's it. 5 hits off of Brewers pitching. Now, what about the Brewers? Well, I'm going to talk some more about this in just a moment as soon as I finish the American League. I'm going to do this before I get into the National League. But Mike Moustakas and teammate Eric Thames The Astros were leading, 3-2 in the 7th inning, and